Time to close out our tier list. Who definitely had the best paint scheme of 2023? Let's find out. Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our tier list video. In case you missed part 1, make sure to watch it, link in the description below. But we are going to definitively figure out who has the best paint scheme of 2023. We ended off with Bubba Wallace in the 23 for the Star Wars paint scheme that he had at Phoenix. Let's move on to the 24. Before we start though, a reminder, we have 3 criteria that we are trying to meet for this tier list. First off is the eye test. First glance, what were my first impressions? Were they good? Were they overall positive? Second is uniqueness. Is this paint scheme unique to what the driver usually runs? Is this unique to what other drivers in the field have ran this year? And finally, the third piece of criteria that I think is probably the most important is, does this do the sponsor justice? Is it instantly recognizable as this brand, etc.? And instantly recognizable is the flames on this Liberty University paint scheme. It was hard to choose between this one and the Exalta scheme, and I will say, just to preface, this doesn't mean I support the brand, it just means that I think the paint scheme looks really nice. This was my favorite that Byron ran this year, but I will say I almost like the paint scheme that he ran last year with Liberty University better, because I feel like there was more white on the car. I felt like it blended everything together while the flames actually went to the back bumper of the car as opposed to stopping in the middle. So if we're comparing and contrasting, and because of that, again, this still looks great. I love it, but I'm gonna give it a D, because again, this has run quite a bit during the season. I know Byron had a bunch of different sponsors this year than what he had last season, but this one still gives basic vibes, but in the best way possible because it looks great. This next one, I'm just gonna preface S tier. Tanner Witt, who designed this at Colleague, again, he does such great work. This is the Mountain Dew paint scheme that Justin Haley ran for the Bristol Night Race. 1, great to have Mountain Dew back in the sport in this capacity. 2, paint scheme is fire, flawless. I don't have anything wrong with it. The sponsor has done justice. Instantly recognizable as Mountain Dew, S tier. Like, I'm gonna be spending so much money. I wanna buy all of these die casts, but this one in particular, just flawless, well done. The number 33 was run this year for RCR. Brody Kostecki ran it at the Indy Road Course. And because this is the only paint scheme that was run for this number this year, there wasn't really any options to choose from but this Mobile X paint scheme. I mean, I think it's fine. I'm gonna give it an F though. Like, again, nothing against it. It's fine. But compared to everything else on the list, just doesn't match up. I think the X in their logo is pretty cool. I think that's really nice that it's front and center on the bumper, but it's not totally unique in the sense. I do like, though, if I can give more positives, that the space is really well used on this car, so props. But that's all I have to say. Moving on, though, in terms of uniqueness, the Loves paint scheme that Michael McDowell runs literally almost the entire season, not totally unique, so we're gonna dock points on that. Visually, though, this is always the paint scheme that does stand out to me, though. Loves is a great partner for Michael McDowell. They represent him well, he represents them well. And instantly, if you just show me like a piece of this car, like just the colors on the side without showing me the logo, I can instantly recognize what brand this is. So overall, a great job. Again, though, uniqueness is going to get docked a little bit. I'm going to give this scheme a D, even though it is very pretty and I loved it. It's just, the balance of everything is off right now, so it's getting a D. The number 36 was rotated between quite a few drivers this season, between Riley Herbst, Todd Gilliland, Zane Smith. This was the best paint scheme from the 36 this year. This is the only paint scheme on this list that I can definitively say I don't like. For me, it's getting an F, and it's going to be on the low end. Again, it's not totally unique. It does the sponsor justice, I guess, but it is with the colors. It's just hard to see the sponsor on the hood, and just from my perspective, it's kind of underwhelming. It's going to get an F. However, a scheme from the Front Row Motorsports camp that's not underwhelming is this Frontliner one. I love how this looks. I love orange on a car in general, like orange and black. I just think it looks really good. And this scheme looks fantastic. The 38, of course, run mainly by Todd Gilliland this year. This was one that Todd did run. I feel like we're filling up the C category quite a bit. I'm gonna give this one a C as well, probably towards the high end. For Ryan Preece, we had quite a few choices. I loved his paint scheme that he ran for the Daytona Summer Race, but there was a clear favorite that is just automatically S tier. It's that Wonder Bread paint scheme. Again, I told you in part 1, I was like, I should probably do Chase Briscoe's paint scheme in turn with Ryan Preece's. They are both S tier by far. Again, well done on the marketing that Stewart-Haas Racing put together for this race in these schemes. It was so fun. Just all around fantastic. I'm noticing, like, in S tier we have very recognizable brands, but again, all of these were done so flawlessly. All right, for the number 42, again, rotated between a few drivers this season. There was quite a bit to choose from. I will say the Wendy's paint schemes, I know that should be probably on this list. I wasn't a huge fan of them. I thought that they looked pretty cluttered. They're fun, but I'm like, I don't know if they'd be my favorite. Again, being me, I went a little bit more basic. I went with the Sunseeker Resort scheme, but particularly for the Texas Motor Speedway race in September. Early in the season, they had a gray base with the blue color on top. I like it when it has the white base with the green color on top, green, blue, whatever it is. I do recognize the scheme is pretty basic though, I understand that. That's why I'm gonna give it an F. I'm gonna give it an F. I hate to say that. Again, I love it, I think it's pretty, I love the colors on it, but it's gonna get an F. Like last year, I went with the same brand for Eric Jones. The US Air Force paint schemes are always gorgeous in this one. It just looks good. I'm noticing a trend for me this season. It really is like a white base on paint schemes. I don't know why, I think it just makes the sponsor pop out if it's done right. This one just looks so good. It's very clean, does the sponsor justice. I will say the side of the car is a little cluttered though with the US Air Force logo, and then you have those few other sponsors that are kind of trickled around it. It looks a little messy, but the colors and everything around it just look fantastic. I am gonna give this one a C. I know I sound negative with it, but it still is really good. I'm gonna give it a low C. I know what you're thinking with Tyler Reddick. I would have gone with the Star Wars one for him too, right? Well, that's wrong. Between the Hamburglar scheme, which I thought was hilarious and awesome, the Rocket League scheme, I had a really tough time picking for Tyler Reddick which one was my favorite. But with the Jordan schemes that they've ran this year, they all look fantastic. So I kind of went that route, and I went with the Retro Jordan 8 paint scheme because it's just so unique. I've not seen a paint scheme like this. The only negative I can see is it's really hard with all the different colors to see that Jordan logo on the car. But it passed the eye test. It caught my eye right away, and it's very unique. For that reason, I'm gonna stick this in the B category. It's just really fun. I like it. All right, we got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And yes, in the past, I have been a little critical of their schemes because they always just feel kind of messy, and kind of the same case this year, but there were a lot more that I like this year as opposed to years past. I will say, to give them credit, they do a great job promoting the sponsor. You can tell exactly who is on the car, what the company is. And I think they almost do a better job of that than other race teams that we have. So props to them. I mentioned this in the first video. I like when paint schemes are unique, when they have a unique base to them. And I think the 47 team does a great job with that. That's why I almost picked the Artisanal. I think that's how you pronounce it. If it's not how you pronounce it, I apologize. But I was about to pick that paint scheme because literally the base of that scheme is bread. It's a loaf of bread. And I thought that was so fun. But I went with something a little bit more basic for a specific reason. But this drumstick paint scheme, the drumsticks between the number and the actual sponsor name fill the space great. And it also shows you what the product is. It's very visible. The hood looks great. And I love that they wrap the logo, or at least the company name, around the wheel. Other paint schemes that we've seen have cut off the sponsor name to fit like in a straight line where the wheel is, and I hate that. This is perfect. It's fun. It's cute. Because I'm impressed by it that much, and I'm like, why aren't other people doing this? Granted, I understand there are brand guidelines. I'm giving this one a B. I just think it's fun. I'm probably gonna look back and regret this, but I think it's great. Next up is Alex Bowman, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not always a fan of his paint schemes that he runs throughout the season. I don't know why, I just don't like him. But this particular one caught my eye. It passed the eye test right away for a particular reason, and it's not the scheme itself, but it's what the window net from the Roval adds to the scheme. One, it's for a great cause, raising awareness for breast cancer, but two, that pink window net actually makes this scheme so much better because it ties into the pink that is already on the car that kind of just goes unaddressed in other ways. Listen, I know I could have gone with the Fortnite scheme. I get it. I couldn't do it though. This one though, because of the pink window net, adds in a lot of character, but it's not in the scheme itself. Therefore, I have to give this one an F. I am so sorry. This was my favorite one of Bowman's though this season. I will just say that. The number 50 did hit the track this year at Daytona, so I'm going to rank it. I'm going to give it an automatic F though for the money team. I am so sorry. I've never liked this scheme. It was the only one that was run though. I think it looks weird. I get it fits the brand. It does the brand justice, but I just don't like it. It's automatic F. I am so sorry. The 51 is another car that was rotated throughout the year by multiple drivers. This one is another JJ Yeley scheme, the number 51, the Patriot Mobile. I just like it. I think it's a very clean look on the hood of the car in particular. I think they did a great job of representing the brand with the logo. It fits perfectly on the hood. It is another basic scheme though, which is again, not a bad thing, but not my favorite thing. I'm gonna give it a D. I like how this looks, but it looks a little too plain. I told you we get back to this. Ty Gibbs in the Interstate Battery scheme. For some odd reason, I like how the 54 looks on this scheme as opposed to how the 20 looks on the scheme, but it is still my favorite that he ran this year. It's just so fun. Again, I love the lightning just base on these cars that Interstate Battery runs. I think they look fantastic. Where did I put Christopher Bell on this list? I gave him a C, so I'm gonna give Ty Gibbs a B for this one. Again, I don't know why the number for his looks better here. I also think the pink window net again adds a pop. I know it's not a part of the scheme, but I'm gonna add some points to that like I did for Alex Bowman. Speaking of unique, Beard Motorsports ran a scheme at Talladega with Austin Hill in the car, a real tree scheme that I gotta say first off, camo on a car, I love it forever and always. I think it always looks great. I know some people don't like it, but I thought this was awesome. That said though, compared to the rest, it is a little busy. I think the camo that they used could have been a little different, but that's fine. I'm gonna give this one a B. I will say, again, it fits my criteria of having orange on a car, which I love, so that's fine. The 67 was run this year by Kobayashi and Pastrana, so I had to choose between their two paint schemes, but ultimately it fell to this black rifle paint scheme that Travis Pastrana ran at the Daytona 500 this year. And I'm not going to lie to you, I like this at first glance when I put this whole list together, but now that I'm looking at it, I still like it better than Kobayashi's, but I don't like this one anymore. It's funky, it's eye-catching, but it doesn't scream Black Rifle to me. Again, great use of the logo on the hood, but still, I don't know. I'm gonna give it an F. I am so sorry. I'm saying sorry a lot in this video. I think we have an upswing right now with Ty Dillon's paint scheme. Again, he ran a lot of different ones in the 77 this year, but I like the Rays T schemes that were run. And I know I could have gone with the White Sox car that he ran at the Chicago Street Course. I get it, but I like this. Again, I like bright yellows on a car if it's done right. I like this type of like peachy, I guess, is peach like a pink? Is peach considered a pink? Designers out there, let me know. But I just think this is really fun. It does the sponsor justice. It's cute. I'm all here for cute paint schemes. I think this was supposed to look cool and not cute, and I will say it is cool and cute at the same time. I'm gonna give it a C. I think it's fun and it's different. It's definitely unique compared to the rest of the field. Speaking of unique, BJ McLeod always has fantastic paint schemes, especially around like the fall months when we hit like October especially. And it was really difficult for me to not choose his Halloween paint scheme that he ran at Martinsville because that was awesome with him on the car. But this Affliction paint scheme with the skulls on it and everything, like it was just so cool. Again, it's a really unique base to a car, which is awesome. It does the sponsor justice. You can recognize it, you can see it. And it passed the eye test because immediately I was like, what is on this car? So cool, it deserves an A. Very well done. All right, the 84 Jimmy Johnson, unfortunately not the runs that Jimmy Johnson wanted to have this year. I know that there are some paint schemes I could have chosen versus this Carvana one, but I just like how this looks. It's very basic. I love the pops of the gold on this car. I think it looks great. I love how there's not more gold on this car. I will say though, the gold that is outlining the 84 on the side of the car versus the roof, I know some other teams have a different type of number, color, or whatever on the side from the roof, but this one bothers me significantly. Again, I know it's branding, so I'm giving it a lot of slack. But overall though, this looks really pleasing to the eye. It passes the eye test. It's unique in the sense that I guess we didn't see it a whole lot this season, and it does the sponsor justice. I think this one is a solid C. I'm gonna give this one a C. Project 91 is up next, and I have to choose between Kimi Räikkönen and Shane Van Gisbergen, and I chose the one from Räikkönen because, one, the chrome red. Again, if you give me a chrome number, I am going to choose it. I am not strong. Like, the number looks so good when it's chrome. And again, it's the red and the black and the white, and I like the white base or a black base on a car. It really depends, but with this one, it looks so good with the accents of gray. I will say immediately looking at this, I don't know what the sponsor is. It doesn't scream ONX Homes to me with how this looks. That's fine. I'm gonna give the coolness factor to this one an A+, though I don't know if it does the sponsor justice per se, but that's just my thought process off the bat. But it looks fantastic enough for me to almost override the sponsorship piece of it, and I'm gonna give it a B. I think it does look really good. I'm looking at this list all together and I'm questioning myself, but I'm gonna give this one a B. Finally, Daniel Suarez in the number 99. I could have gone with Worldwide Express. I could have gone with Tootsie's, which is a fantastic paint scheme, but I went somewhere that is more basic in a place where I think nobody else expected me to go. I'm talking about the North Wilkesboro paint scheme for the Trackhouse Motorplex. I know I went basic with this, but I think the hood of the car, throughout the design of the car, it all melts together very, very well. Does the sponsor justice. But because it's basic, and I know I put this on my favorites list, I don't think I can give it higher than a C. I'm gonna give it a D. Still looks fantastic, don't get me wrong. Like if this was a paint scheme or I guess a die cast that I could buy, maybe it is, I just don't know about it, I would definitely buy it. But I'm gonna give this one a D in terms of how it rings throughout the rest. I'm looking at this list and I'm trying to figure out if there's anything I want to move around. If there's anything I want to move, it's going to be this Tyler Reddick 45. I want to move it to the A tier. I want to move this Rays scheme to B, and I think that's it. So there you have it, my complete and definitive list of the best paint schemes for 2023. The S tier, we have Kevin Harvick's Budweiser scheme, Chase Briscoe and Ryan Preece's Talladega Nights scheme, and that 31 Mountain Dew scheme from Justin Haley. Let me know how you think I did in the comments below. I'm a little scared to read them. Of course, I will have this link in the description for you all to do your own tier list. Make sure to tag me in those at _TaylorKitchen_ on my social media, or at above the yellow line on other platforms. Make sure to visit TobyChristieCom for more NASCAR news as it breaks during the off season, and make sure to visit AboveTheYellowLine.com for merchandise and more about me and the brand. So that is it. Thank you all so much for the support, and until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.